Hi guys, welcome back to another video. It's not exactly a nerd rants. I'll be ranting about something, but it's not really a fandom thing. So, I counsel, cabin led, whatever you want to call it. I was in charge of a cabin of girls at camp last week, all of last week. I'm sure I mentioned it in a post or something. So, yeah. We're gonna rant about that because so many things happened. It was so good. It was such a great week. So, unofficial sponsor, Lost Timber Bible Camp. But yeah, it was so good. If you are in the Midwest area, you know that last week it rained all week. Not ideal weather for camp. Oh man, but it was so good. Yeah, I think Wednesday was the only day it didn't rain. And technically, I guess Sunday, whenever all the kids came, but it was also very windy. And then it rained that night, thankfully, once they were all in bed. But yeah, so everyone arrived, we had a fun time, played games outside, did chapel, whatever else, got to bed. It rained all night. It rained all of Monday. It rained all of Tuesday. It was completely dry and like the warmest day, which is only like mid to upper 70s on Wednesday. Then it rained really hard all day Thursday and I think Wednesday night. And then it rained all day Friday, and then the kids all got picked up Saturday morning, and it was a light rain that entire time, a downpour right after, I think it was pretty much all the kids had left. It downpoured for a while we were cleaning up the cabins, and then it was more of a spit, but so much water. So much water. Thankfully, none of the buildings or anything at camp flooded. They had like a stream, they call it, that goes through the middle of camp. They call it the moat. That was really, really full. And the maintenance guy made a joke about almost having to do an emergency sandbagging for the dining hall on like Thursday night because it rained so hard on Thursday night. And there was a literal river going through the little lawn area right next to the dining hall. It was insane. There was so much water everywhere and everyone was wet and covered in mud, and it was an absolute mess, but it was so much fun. So yeah, poor directors, they had to switch up the schedule constantly and had to come up with new ideas for like indoor activities because they couldn't do the night game outside because it was downpouring, but it was so good. It was so good. Attitudes, honestly, considering all of the weather and the rain and the wet, were very, very good. It's also considering that they were middle schoolers. They did very well with all of the rain. It probably helped that all of us cabin leaders and stuff were just running around being positive, trying to be positive about it. And I think they hopefully fed off of us a little bit. It got to the point by mid-Monday and definitely into Tuesday that when people got negative, like by Tuesday they were good with it, but I was still like, every time someone tried to be negative about the rain, I kind of just like ran around and twirled all around in the rain and went, "Embrace the wet!" Literally every time someone was negative. It was great. I loved it so much. It was way too much fun to yell "embrace the wet" at people. It became the catchphrase / motto of the entire week, was to embrace the wet, which is really ironic because I said it literally throughout the entire week. But at the end of the week, we did like the campfire, and we all shared testimonies and how we saw God working in the week. It came up metaphorically. And then in church, literally the Sunday after I got back, the day after I got back, the entire sermon was about trusting God through adversity. And my brain went, it sounds like embrace the wet. So, yeah, it just embrace the wet kept coming up for the entirety of the weekend and was a literal thing through the entire week. So that was an interesting thing and a fun little God moment. But yeah, it was so good. Like, it was almost more fun to play all the sport games that we did end up playing in the rain, because everyone's in the mud and they're all slipping and they're getting covered in mud and we're all just laughing at each other, and it was so great. It was so good. Like, the other team, my other team leader, we were playing cricket and he literally slipped 3 times trying to make a score. It was great. And one of my campers was on the other team, and we were playing big base, which is just kickball with mattresses for bases. Anyway, she kicked the ball, slipped, and landed backflop style, landed in a full backflop in a puddle of mud, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I had a great viewpoint because I was pitching the ball. Oh, it was so good. I definitely had, like, you know, when you do any kind of event and you have like multiple teams involved, there's always the one team. Like, you know what I'm talking. If you work in any situation where there's multiple teams involved, you know what I'm talking about. There is always the one team. They're negative, or they just can't seem to work together, or whatever else. That was my team that week. It was unfortunate. The guys were just constantly bashing each other and being negative. Which, you know, middle school guys, the bashing each other is normal, but they would not. They seemed to be incapable of being positive, which was not super fun. But again, my goal was to encourage them to be positive, and then also drown them out with my positivity, which as a quiet person, in normal situations, not always the easiest thing to do for me, but it worked. I tend to lose all insecurity at camp and at work, which is good because they're the situations where insecurity is not a helpful thing in any way. So yeah. But yeah, I had that team. It was a fun time. Especially when my other team leader was a first-time cabin leader. And so everything was new to him and everything was kind of overwhelming. And he got really, really tired by Wednesday. Like, he was just showing up and trying to interact with campers. He was like rubbing 2 sticks together to make them smooth, but you know, rubbing 2 sticks together makes friction, which makes fire, and we were in a building. Yeah, his mom was the first aid lady, so he kind of just went, "Hey, your child needs some help here," and we sent him down to his mom, just like, take a minute, because he was so tired. So bad. Oh, the poor dude. He has to do it again later this summer, so hopefully now he's prepared for it a little more, especially with younger kids. He's doing it with the grade schoolers. So he'll hopefully be a little more prepared so that he's not quite as exhausted, because grade schoolers can be more exhausting, and if it was his first time, oof. Yeah, it is great. We had 35 campers. The previous week, they had 60 some campers. So we had literally half of the campers that they had. There were like 17 girls and 18 boys or something. All of the they have, normally there's 2 girl cabins that are like split in half. So like 4 girl cabin leaders in 2 girl cabin buildings, and then the guys have the back half of the chapel building, and that's split in half, and then they split those in half so that they have 4 guy cabin leaders, but like 2 sides of the cabin. All of the girls were in one of the buildings, which was actually very nice because there's the one of the girl cabins is right above the dining hall, and then the second story is the girls' cabin. And then the other girl cabin is all the way up a hill and kind of the middle of nowhere. Not fun trying to get like anywhere, especially if you're trying to be on time. Last year I was in that cabin with 7 girls who didn't want to get out of the cabin. It was very hard to get anywhere. This year I had 3 girls. They enjoyed sleeping, which is a wonderful thing for a cabin leader. Sleep is like, you could literally barter with nap times during camp. Like, it's so exhausting. And they literally give us designated like nap time or break time essentially from the kids. They give them a movie to watch and then we get to go take a nap or just hang out and have a break from children for a little while. It's, they're exhausting. But yeah, I had 3 girls and they were so down for sleeping. So when bedtime came and I like turned the lights off, I went and took 5 minutes or whatever to get ready for bed. Sometimes longer if I took a shower. And I'd be back in the cabin and they'd already be out. Like, they love to sleep, which was so good for me. Until one of the girls got up early one day and decided she was going to try and fall asleep during morning chapel. But, you know, then I just get until she stops falling asleep. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, I had 3 girls and then the other girl cabin leaders had 4. And then I think there was 1 or 2 guys cabins that had 5 guys in them and the other ones had 4. It was crazy how small the camp was. But it turned out being a really cool thing because then there's a little more like, you get some deeper relationship with them because you can basically get like, if I could have gotten 2 one-on-ones with each of my girls in that week. And the team was like 9 campers. Normally it's a good like 15. It's insane. But yeah, we had like 9 campers on the team. And we were the biggest team by like 1 person. But yeah, it was just crazy how small it was. And it ended up working out because then we could fit everybody in the chapel for like indoor games on one of the nights because it was raining and it was just like the perfect size and it wasn't cramped, and they were able to spread out and play cornhole in the chapel and board games on the stage and all of that, and it was just the perfect size. It was great. But yes, it was so good. I keep saying it. It was just such a good week. I'm a pluviophile. I love rain so much, like almost an unhealthy amount. I will, if it's just like rain, a light rain or something, I'll just go stand out in the rain because I love rain. So this week was just wonderful for me. And I also had these short little rain boots that I could still like run around in, but you know, they're waterproof. So everyone else is complaining about their wet shoes and I'm just sitting there like, I made an amazing investment. Literally, like just about the only shoes I wore the entire week. They got wet once on Thursday because it downpoured really hard for like 5 minutes. And so the water ran down my leg into my boot. But they dried out overnight, so that was fantastic. And I got to use them because it rained. They dried out literally overnight. And so then I was able to wear them for the rest of the rainy days. It was great. But yeah, we had a girl it was Monday. She had changed like 4 times. She's like, I'm running out of clothes. I'm like, stop changing your clothes. Just pick a dirty pair and wear them for the whole day. You're just gonna get dirty again. The amount of muddy clothes was just ridiculous, and there were always clothes hanging out on the covered deck of the girls' cabin because they needed to dry out, and we had to do a load or 2 of laundry so that some of the girls could actually have enough clothes to make it through the week. It was nuts, but it was so fun. Like, we played soccer in the rain, we played big base in the rain, we played cricket in the rain, we played ultimate in the rain, which is ultimate frisbee, except we don't just use a frisbee. Like, we flew through flour and Rice Krispies and a block of cheese and like a red, white, and blue cowboy hat. It was so good. It was so good. That's all I got. Like, it was so much fun. And then the one dry day we had on Wednesday, we went to the pond to swim. So we were wet anyways. We were wet all week. It was fantastic. Yeah, because we also had night trials that day, and they were throwing water balloons at us because, you know, they have to have some sort of obstacles and they can't throw hard things at us, so water balloons. And so we got wet in that anyway. I also had to climb a cinder block wall, cause like we were sieging a castle, and I totally scraped up this leg. It was fun. The scabs are still healing. So much fun though. It was so much fun. Probably one of my favorite weeks of camp. It was so good. 1, because of rain. 2, because insane God moments. Like, whew. First of all, the speaker, it's Dan. I love Dan. But the speaker, his whole thing, like, literally starts out the week with, all right, guys, we can look at this rain and have a pissy attitude about it. Or we can look at the rain and go, cool, what is God gonna do this week? Like, if there's this much rain, how is he going to use that? How is he going to use this, like, adversity to grow us to whatever? Right out of the gate, throwing that awesome perspective of it into it. And he's just worship at camp. Worship at camp is literally the best thing ever. It is literally my favorite thing. I love it so much because, first of all, I'm a music person in general. I love music. Then we take 35 middle schoolers, about 8 cabin leaders, and 4 or 5 other staff from the kitchen and whatever else in there. So like a max of like 45, 50 people in a room, which is not even the number of campers they had last week. And you just have them belting and singing with everything they have. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it when it's a lot of campers, but it was almost better with less campers. Maybe it's just because the rest of the week was so much better than some of the other weeks I've been at. But like, they sang so loud. It was so good. It was crazy how loud they sang. Like, we did Amazing Grace, I mean, multiple times in the week, but one night in particular, I can't remember which one, but there was one of the guys' cabins behind me, and they were just like, not screaming, like yelling the lyrics, probably more yelling than singing, but it was at least like on pitch, I guess, so it was so good. The worship was fantastic, and then the Friday night, campfire, it was projected on the wall because, you know, it was raining, so we couldn't do up an actual fire. A little sad, but still great. But yeah, it's all a cappella. Pretty much like a guitar, or acoustic is what I'm thinking of. Acoustic. Just like a guitar and voices. It's good. It was so good. Yeah, it was so good. I literally had to stop singing every once in a while and just listen to all of them because they were so into worship. They were so into worship, and it was so great. Yeah, worship is a wonderful thing at camp, and I will never find anything that compares to camp worship, which is a little sad. But it's so good. So good. Yeah, I don't know. know, chapels in general were great because it's Dan, so it's funny and it's memorable, and gets a little bit of apologetics in there. It's just like, hey, here's actual proof that what happened in this Bible story is true. It's very good. Yeah, discussions with my cabin, it was kind of nice, and almost went a little bit better when there was less of them. Less people I had to make sure they were included, and less people to wrangle. But yeah, it was also good, but absolute best moment of the entire week. Really the main thing that made me want to do the video on this instead of something else, you know, besides the fact that I don't actually have anything that I've finished. There's things in process. But anyway, okay. I'm sitting in church 2 weeks before camp starts. But yeah, I'm sitting there. Our church will like pass around extra Bibles that they have if people didn't bring any, and they're just like, hey, if you don't have a Bible at home, take this one home. Whatever. So I didn't have my Bible along. I'm working on getting to the habit of bringing it more often. But anyway, I didn't have my Bible along. So I was like, sure, I'll take a Bible. Why not? We'll do it this time just cause. And so yeah, I'm using their Bible and whatever else. And then at like the end of the service-ish, I sit there and I go, what if I brought this to camp and I had all of the girls in the cabin underline favorite verses or whatever, or there wasn't a whole lot of room in the margins, so I don't think any of them really did, but like write little notes in the margins or whatever, but like underline their favorite verses was the big thing that came into my head, and I got really excited about it. So I kind of sort of, not really, stole a Bible from church. They offer it freely. They say it's a gift. It was fine. So yeah, I brought that home with me. I underlined some of my favorite verses, and then I brought it to camp, which made it even cooler that all of the girls were in one cabin, because then all of the girls in the entire building that we were sharing could underline verses. I just put it on a table in the common area. And so for the entire week, they were underlining verses. And then one of my campers, she was new to camp. She said, like the first, like Monday morning chapel, she said, I didn't bring a Bible. And I was like, cool, I have this extra one, you can use that one. So for chapel discussion, whatever else, she used that one. And then whenever we had like free time or like overnight and whatever else, I set it out on the table, and girls could underline verses if they wanted. And so we get probably halfway through the week, and at this point can't even tell that this newbie is new at camp. She's just meshed super well and gotten into it and made friends, and it was great. But anyway, she's getting really involved in discussion, whatever else, and I start to she starts to open up, and I find out, oh, she has a lot of different like religious views happening at home between her birth dad and her like mom and stepdad and whatever else. So there's a bunch of people trying to pull her in a bunch of different directions. Okay, that, you know, kind of explains why you shouldn't have like a Bible alone. And she was talking about how some people that she knew that were from camp had convinced her mom to let her come. So that in itself was cool. But then we go through and we did altar call thing on Tuesday, just so we have the rest of the week to, you know, talk to them and get them ready for going home. She went up. Actually, my entire cabin went up, which was also cool, but it was really, really cool to see how excited she was about it and how much she really did understand what was going on. She probably understood it better than the other girls. One of them mostly went up for peer pressure, I think, but the other girl that was like went up really, you know, for herself, entirely for herself. This newbie understood it, I think, a lot better than she did, or at least expressed it a little bit better, I guess. So that was very cool, and being able to just go up there as an entire cabin and like pray for each other about it, and that was awesome. But yeah, going through the rest of the week, and she opened up more, and my brain went, how much you want to bet this girl don't have a Bible at home? So yeah, we get to the end of Friday night. We are done with the campfire. People are like getting up, gathering up in cabins to walk back, like the girls at least, to walk back to the cabin. My girls are the last ones because I kind of waited for it to empty out a little bit, and you know, I'm packing all their stuff away because half of my girls didn't bring bags to put their chapel stuff in, so I was carrying it around. It was okay, I planned for it. But yeah, we're sit there, let it empty out a little bit as I pack up my stuff, and then I pick up the Bible, and I look at her and I go, hey, do you have you don't have a Bible at home, do you? She looked at me and she said, no. So I grabbed the Bible and I said, tomorrow, when you go home, this one is yours. There were immediate tears of joy. She wrapped me in the biggest hug ever, and all she could say was thank you. And I got like literal chills. It was so good. And even if the rest of the week had been crappy, that moment in itself would have made it all worth it. The fact that 2 weeks before camp starts, God goes, hey, and nudges me and goes, take this Bible with you. Take this Bible with you. And it just, it's one of the biggest God moments I think I've ever had. Like, there have been lots of cool little ones, like walking back to the girls' cabin throughout the week, like just watching the lightning go through the clouds. Cool, amazing God moment. It was so cool to just walk around and have them be like super excited about this storm, despite the fact that, you know, it's raining. It's kind of putting a damper, pun was not intended, but kind of putting a damper on a lot of the activities that they had planned. And they're just like so excited about it. And it was so cool. And we had all these little things. And in past years, I've had little things too. Like I'd pray for someone and like, cool. I feel like that was more than just like me praying. This takes the cake. 3 weeks in the making, God goes, I know that this girl can't go in camp. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing in her life. I know it's like, I'm pushing her to make this decision to follow me. And he goes, I know you're going to be our cabin leader, even though you don't know yet. Take this extra Bible with you. She's going to need it. Oh, it was so good. It was so freaking cool. And I've literally been telling everyone about it because it was fantastic. It was so great. Yeah, it was so great. That's all I got. Like, I made the realization this girl doesn't have a Bible at home, and I just went, you little mastermind. It was so... Literally best moment of the week. Like, it wouldn't have mattered how bad the rest of the week is. That moment would have just like blown them all away, and I would not have cared about any of the bad things. Like, there were, you know, there are bad things, and like dealing with the negativity of a bunch of middle school guys on our team, not the funnest thing to deal with. Oh man, didn't even care. After Friday night, like, I was like, whatever. That was the only good thing to come out of the week. Then it was the best thing. Oh my gosh. I can't take any credit for that. The only thing I did was go, okay. And then, you know, connect the dots, which was not hard to do. A monkey could have connected the dots. Literally the only thing I did, the only part I played in that was going, okay, let's do it. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any more words left for that. It was so cool and it was just fantastic. And then all of my girls left Saturday morning, like before breakfast, which was at 9:30. So that was, I immediately just went, no responsibilities, cool. Just get to hang out with other people's campers and, you know, then clean the cabin. That's all I really had to do about an hour after I woke up on Saturday, which was a little sad. But it was also, yeah, just a little nice, actually. We had a guide last year too. I had a bunch of campers. But yeah, it was so good. It was an amazing week. I loved it so much. I had so much fun. It was just the best. It was literally the best. Yeah. It was great. I loved it. I think that's all I have to rant about. If I come up with more things, I'll probably throw them in the comments. But, oh man. God's just amazing. Okay. Yeah. I post videos on this channel every Wednesday and Saturday and on my audiobook channel on Thursdays. God bless, guys. I'll see you all next time.